smart. He's very committed and passionate about StarCraft 2. You know, now that he's been coaching for a long time and back here playing. He's been here since the beginning. But yeah, when it comes to the big matches, we don't see the great games from him yet.
Yeah, it's just not. It's not happened yet. He's played in Pro League several times and also gotten nervous there and been crushed. So I think what he really needs is just any win that he can take. It'll help his confidence.
Yeah, whatever he can muster together here. Game number 2 now between True and Choya is beginning here at GOMTV.
The top right in green, our generic Green Wings player is
True.
Very vocal fan for him here in the studio. Very focused.
And his opponent over here in the upper left.
Choya.
You know what's really interesting to me is this is Choya's map pick. He picked Frost, one of our bigger maps.
Yes.
Which leads me to believe he's actually going to try to play late game instead of...
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he is going to play a macro game here, something like that.
I think he's just going to try to test his might in that sort of arena rather than trying to play this game where he's like, oh, now I killed your hatchery, and you're thinking about your macro in a different way. You made all these lings, and how are you going to be able to afford your drones? And we're going to see a 13 spawning pool here? Yeah.
Yes, we are.
That's pretty rare. Just a little bit faster pool there, so you can get a queen out quicker, I guess. And also, just in case any shenanigans, he's going to have his lings a little bit faster. With this, it's not really a pool timing where you can like punish and kill probes most of the time, especially on a 4-player map like this. So we'll see what he ends up getting done with that. Choya scouts incorrectly, unluckily for him, to the bottom left. And that also means that unless he sends a second probe scout, it's going to be a really long time before he knows what build his opponent is doing. And if he sends a second
the lings are actually going to be out long before the probe can even get there.
Yeah, I mean, if he sends a second one, then it affects his economy negatively even further. You know,
that's true. Now getting the cybernetic score. So the Zerg's actually going to get to his opponent with an Overlord before Choya gets to the Zerg with his probe. So those 2 lings are coming up now.
Yeah, only 2.
Seems like you might just want to drive out an attacking probe.
Well, that makes up for the extra drone that he missed earlier from making the spawning pool faster to only make 2 lings instead of 4. And yeah, if all you want to do is kill a probe and then like control the watchtowers and get some scouting information, you don't need 4, especially against a gateway expand like this, because you know 4 might let you run by a cannon potentially, depending on how the cannon timing is finishing up. But against this, he can just run around the Zealot, run circles around it. Doesn't need 4 to do that. Work on these rocks, just to make sure that he can wall off his nexus a little bit better. Lings are actually going to come over here, unfortunately for them, not able to slow that Nexus down. They're going to run right into the main base.
Yeah, the Zealot actually attacking that little area over there. Lings now coming up and going to be going for these probes here.
Good micro by Choya.
Mothership core about halfway done here. Will be popping out soon.
I wonder if the generic coach was just like, listen, what I want you to do is make 2 lings and harass Choya's base a little bit, see if it like messes with his head, you know, see if you can get a probe or 2, because Choya gets nervous.
Yeah, that's actually a possibility, you know. Make some small engagement early on.
You know, it's nothing I can say for certain, but it's only 2 lings, and he didn't get the probe kill, but it's not a big commitment. I like how he played
Well,
it.
I think one thing about getting the pull really early like that is that you are safe from a lot of different early aggression if it does happen. And if it doesn't, you still have the lings out. And since this build especially is so popular nowadays, just go for fast gas and get an expansion up. Yeah, I mean, you can easily just scout them.
Yeah.
See what they're doing. Get a read from there.
I'll show you checks around his base to make sure there's nothing that can scout him. And it's actually just going to go 4 gates again. And the lings are going to see this. No deny on that. So he already has early speed on the way. Starts 6 lings.
I guess he's confident that what he was trying to do in the last game would have worked had he executed it right.
Yeah.
And that True really won't be able to handle it even if he knows it's coming this time, because he saw the basic premise of the build the last game.
That's a really good pylon location. It's on the high ground.
And it's hugging that wall very well.
Yeah. And it's not going to be a place he expects initially to look for the pylon. So let's see if he finds it. Actually, Nope, he doesn't see it.
Barely
really
misses
good placement. That is a great pylon location.
But the Lings are now coming around. It looks like they're trying to find the pylon, which they're hoping is somewhere out here. I think with the probe...
Is he just going to counterattack? I think he might just counterattack, which would never work against a player who hits his force field, but when we saw the first game, like, he didn't hit his force fields. Let's see.
Okay, he gets it up that time for sure. But that force field's not going to last forever.
Right.
And then he's going to be in this big balancing act here between, you know, do I get the defense that I need at home or do I try to attack? That's going to be tricky.
True really trying to test Choya's multitasking here. He needs a warp in of another sentry. Okay, there it is. He should be able to get that force field up. Oh! Nice. Now he needs another setup on a wall, though. Unfortunately, you know, these sentries, like you said, are not going to last. These forces are not going to last forever. And now he's getting surrounded with some of his units here. He's going to recall home.
Oh, but he's losing the sentry back there. He might lose this other sentry here as well. Ling's now running up there into the main.
Well, he forced a cancel on the hatchery, but again, is this worth it? He actually keeps the worker count low this time, and he doesn't take too many losses at home. I think this was actually pretty okay for Choya, all things considered. But he needs to make sure he has this wall tight.
Oh my God!
Oh, well, even with that
and
sentry
he's going to get this sentry, yep.
He's just going to run through.
Now you got to keep in mind, these are just Zerglings. And this is doing a lot to keep the Protoss busy at home. Now, the Protoss did not opt to tech. The Protoss went for, you know, the Zealots, the Stalkers, the Sentries early on to do the aggression to deny that base. And True is just proving that Choya can't handle this balancing act of offense and defense at the same time. I mean, he's going to get lots more probes now. The Zerg is going to get that third base up, which means the entire strategy coming out of Choya was bunk.
Yeah, and you know, with all the larvae he banked up to make drones off of 2 hatches, he's able to get ahead in the worker count again. He starts 8 more, in fact. With all the links he has on the map, he feels that he has sufficient control of the map to hold that third base now and to drone like this. And he's always constantly threatening these backstabs with the Zerglings. Now, Choya is going to move out again, and I like that he's not waiting because he still has that pylon. That pylon was still not found. I think he has to do something like this or face just falling too far behind because he can't transition out of this. A normal player would struggle to transition out of this, but Choya's strength is not in just playing a better macro game than his opponent, especially when he's behind. So I think the best way for him to try to win this game is to kill this hatchery again. Notice that True has instantly remade another third base location, knowing he's going to lose this. So he's going to have another base to fall back to.
This is one thing that's going well for Choya right now. And getting the DTs with this as well, that's a pretty sneaky move. I think most of the Protoss players would be teching at this point in time. This may end up catching True off guard.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a lot of units still, but he doesn't have a forward warping point, so I guess he's going to maybe try to snipe a queen or something to recall.
I don't know if he can do much more than this butt recall.
Okay, he's going to make a pylon on the high ground at the third base and then warp DTs down there and try to kill that hatch. Still a tight wall here. Not going to break through. I think he saw the Twilight Council, I'm pretty sure, so that's just some extra information for him. Doesn't have any Overseers, though, and does not have, obviously, Spore Callers at this location because there's no creep here yet.
Okay, so Choya can still win this, for sure. He certainly has a chance.
Yeah, you know, he could actually kill that base with DTs. He might actually plan on using Archons. That's something else that he might just do with these DTs instead. Alright, so he's going to start fighting this base now. No force fields for him to use, so this is a bit risky. I don't know about this. There's the cancel, but here come all the Lings from 3 different sides.
Okay, so far he's doing a pretty good job holding this off. More and more Lings are spilling in here. And, oh my God, this actually might just kill him. This might just kill him. These DTs now going 2 into the main and 2 to the expansion here.
He needs to make sure he micros them, though. They're going for queens.
he needs to start going for drones right away here.
Okay, now they're doing a decent amount of damage. But True has an Overseer, and he's just going to send it back. In fact, he's making 3 more.
All right, he's going to get the Spine Crawler. I got to say, I think that could have been handled a little bit better.
Way better.
I mean, considering, all you have to do is make sure you split up those... you just got to split up those DTs to hit each of the workers.
The thing is, like, considering how lackluster the defense was anyways, he still lost so many Harvesters. If Choya had microed that better, we could see True maybe down to like 15.
That's what I was thinking, yeah. If he had just shift-clicked,
yeah.
I mean, it's not the easiest thing to do when you have that many DTs.
Yeah, just shift right-click on a few drones, and then if he pulls all of his workers away, then he's losing mining time anyways, so you just send the DTs to start killing spines or whatever at that point. He had so much time that he wasted attacking that spine and like a few queens. He might have even been able to like target down a whole hatchery.
And he's going to do a really tough 2-base timing here.
Oh yeah,
choya is going to try to get the finishing blows off. Unfortunately, he didn't split up those DTs quite well enough. Granted, it's always possible True would have eventually, stamped them all out. But when you have that many DTs, sometimes you want to send, let's say you send 2 in the main, send 1 over to the corner.
Yeah.
The other one to where the workers are. If let's say that, for instance, he's not, he can really see how well he can prioritize his actions there, because there is a lot to do, right? You're juggling stuff at home and you're moving those DTs around. Hide one of those DTs in the main, then hit the other workers. Keep spreading them out. Because
once he thinks that he's cleaned up the DTs, then you send the one that's in the corner.
Yeah, exactly.
And then that one could do some extra damage. Now the situation here puts Choya in a supply lead with a decent composition. The problem being the infestors that are about to pop out with the energy upgrade.
Yep. Although, I got to say, with the War Prism coming out here for True, he should have some really strong push potential. Here's another one of these DTs over here.
I mean, there's an Overseer, but no real unit. So if he just shift clicks, there's going to be some links here.
Well, you can get through some of these links here.
Yeah, and he might get like 1 drone. No, not targeted.
Nope. Should have backed out there.
But that's okay. That was like not the worst trade he could get with a DT. And this might force actually him to make some spines or spores, which would then be like essentially paying money to lose drones. Anything you can hope for, with that DT is, or anything you can accomplish with that DT rather than just hoping, is good for him. Well, I mean, there's a 3rd base up. The worker count took a long time for True to recover, and Choya's still in a position where he could take this game. He's getting
he looks pretty good. He does look like he's in good shape here. This warp-in, I love this with the DT over here.
Just one, it's all you need to do some damage. There's no Spore Caller, no
Exactly.
No
let's see how quickly he even notices. Okay, right away he does. Sends those drones back out.
Now we could actually just lift it maybe with the Warp Prism and get out.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, gets away.
This is what happens if you don't have a Spire as Zerg. I mean, there's not a ton you can really do to shut down Warp Prism harass. The Protoss pretty much has liberty to try to bother you as much as possible. You're going to have to win by having your army spread out and just having sheer numbers on your side, so that any small number of warp-ins they do have, you just shut down.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the worker count is still really good for Choya, and he's got 3 base economy behind it. So I feel like maybe what he needs is a 2nd robotics, actually, to have enough Colossus production to utilize those resources fully, because as you guys can see at the top right, like, he's not spending all of his money completely, and I think he needs to rush Colossus out as fast as possible. It is also going to be useful against a possible Ultraless transition, which we can see is happening right now, but it's definitely a solid possibility. Oh, he's going to get bungled here. 1 bungle goes down.
Nice. Oh, can he get these infestors? Okay, he's going to get that bottom right cluster of probes down there. But yeah, he should be able to clean up the rest of that pretty easily. And again, another DT over here, just hitting these workers.
Use Zealots here, going to also, make it annoying for these.
You might actually want to warp in the Zealots first and then the DTs after.
Yeah.
Simply because they're going to identify the Zealots as a threat, and then you can hide the DT as well.
Exactly. We've seen a lot of players do this in the past. There's that 2nd robotics. He's really just,
He's powering right now.
He's powering it up, but he needs to realize, perhaps with the Hallucination Scout, that Ultralists are his enemy and not just Infestors anymore, and Broodlords are not really what he's dealing with. He needs to make sure that he can get enough Immortals out to handle this.
Yeah, the Colossi are not going to be that helpful against Ultras, whereas the Immortals are going to be very, very helpful. He's going to have to watch out for the Vipers as well. I mean, if the Vipers, let's say there's two popping out just now, he can harpoon 2 of those Immortals, and suddenly there's really no answer to the Ultras.
Yeah, we need some feedbacks to be dropped in order to deal with those. Another good fungal here. Oh my god. Not enough to finish them off, but still, he was able to somehow get that through there. That's pretty impressive. 2nd fungal hits some of those units, locking them down, preventing the chase. Okay,
now,
so he's making 1-1 now.
If Choya actually gets his 4th base up, he should be in pretty good shape.
Yeah, especially considering he's at least seeming to start to build a composition that's countering the Ultras. He's doing both, which is really interesting, because there's not a massive amount of Ultras yet, but we're getting there. With 3 more finishing, I think he's going to have like 10.
We also have to keep in mind the angle at which the Protoss may be approaching here. If he can go down a narrow path like this, where there's not an easy surround, he could be in very good shape here. You can see Zerg has 2 armies now, one over here at the upper right to attack the top expansion, the other one down here at the bottom. He's going to see which area the army is not at and then attack that location. So the big attack's actually for the Zerg going to be over here.
Needs to move those probes. I can't believe
beautiful. You got to hand it to True. He really knows how to utilize this position here. The fact that there's a high ground over here means those infestors can sneak over there and do that damage so easily.
A lot of Ultras being killed on the other hand. He's trying to transition into a Spire tag, but the probe damage was definitely done here. Choya needs to start remaking probes actually, because 52 is not what you want. You know, you'd rather be closer to like 65 to 70.
Well, also keep in mind though that the Zerg army is actually pretty low, and it looks like this counterattack could wreck True.
Yeah,
in fact,
it could, man. Blinking forward here, starting to pick off these Overseers. Not super important yet, but actually as he does it, he warps in some DTs. This base is going to die. And he has plenty of Immortals here.
And here's the thing, he can keep pushing forward from here if he wants. No, he's going to turn around. But yeah, I mean, these are narrow avenues that he's engaging in, which makes it pretty tricky for the Zerg.
This is the first time I've ever seen True actually attempt to play with Hive Tech. And the reason I say this is because it seems like he's not actually as good with it as he is through the mid-game. You know, he's taking some weird fights. He is getting some cool, funny fungals, but like, he's now on 3 bases against a 4-base Protoss. He's like taking a 4th base, like, retaking it so slow, so late. Choya is mining way more than he is right now. And this is still nice, and I'm a little bit surprised we don't see Choya make like some cans on the high ground because, oh god.
Yeah, he really should have gotten a pylon up there, some defense, because this is really all True has going for him right now. True has done so much damage to this upper expansion. It's basically a location he gets free kills off of probes on.
Yeah, he keeps doing that and not being punished for it. But Choya has 60 armies split up. If he only knew that, he would just go and win the game right now. I think he's starting to realize, like, wait a minute, you just don't have any units.
Yeah, well, I think what's happening is Choya is so cautious right now. He wants to be very careful in this match. He might not be aware that he's basically already won this game.
Yeah, 14 Mulas on the way, but a bit slow, a bit late. And there are so many Archons already on the map. I don't think that the Mulas are going to win this fight for him. He's not going to be able to eliminate Choya's buildings faster. This Viper looks like it might just go down for free. That's pretty expensive. I don't think True is very well versed in the late game in any matchup because I've commentated a lot of his games and he just avoids it entirely every single time. He's actually just going to send a few units home and he's going to leave a few units here. I think he's got plenty enough on both sides. Great feedbacks on every single
Really nicely done. Adding insult to injury here. The Ultras are trying to do something like clean up the 2nd or the 3rd base here, but it's just not happening. Choya's defense and offense this game are just too good. And no more Ultras for the time being. That Ultralisk Cavern has been taken out, as are the rest of the Ultras now on the map. And I think we're going to see GG any second here.
I really want to see Choya's face right now, Taste. I want to see, you know, like, this is the first time he's won a televised match in so long, and I think this is the confidence that he needs to be able to push his way through this group if he's going to do it. I mean, this is it. GG.
Nicely done there. It's 1-1 now. Choya still has a shot here.
He's shaking, man. You can see it. He's feeling that adrenaline now, and that's a really important win for him.
Man, yeah, you are absolutely right, man. This is intense, man.
If he had lost that game and went 0-2, I think he would also go 0-2 in the losers match no matter who he was facing.
I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. He certainly could have.
Needs a win for his confidence, and that's an important win because he actually crushed True in the late game. Like, he outplayed him. And
yeah, he really did.
For your confidence levels, when you're so nervous going into a group like this, so you've got so much on the line.
Well, the early game there, the early game in game number 2 was actually pretty funny because there was a lot of stuff going right and wrong for both parties there.
Yeah.
There was a period where he actually got the hatchery, but at the same time there were Lings counterattacking him, but then the Lings maybe overextended.
Yeah.
He lost too many Lings. And from there, he was able to attack into him once again.
He just kept losing his hatchery, and he couldn't defend that. And he decided to do counterattacks instead, which I think might have been the right choice because the composition that Choya built would have beaten Lings kind of decently, and then he might have just killed the hatchery anyway. So, especially after what happened in Game 1, maybe he's thinking, oh, Choya's going to mess us up again. I'm going to get into his base and kill so much of his stuff.
What do you think is going to be the map pick here for True?
Overgrowth seems to be a map that's always picking a lot, yeah. It's a 2-player map, but it's big enough. The bases are close enough for the Zerg to just kind of leapfrog comfortably towards that 4th. I feel like that's what he's going to pick.
Do you think Choya can actually win? Because right now, I'm actually thinking True can do this.
I think he can. He just needs...
Choya played really well, but even at the very end there, you notice there was a point in time where he wasn't even aware that he had won yet.
Yeah.
Look, there's nothing wrong with playing cautious, but again, what I'm seeing here with Choya is a lot of nerve issues.
Yeah.
Poor execution at the start. Even at the end when he's winning, you could see there was almost like a lack of certainty, like he was overwhelmed by the situation.
Yeah.
Before he really identified, okay, I can attack in here and kill him off.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that he shouldn't win this series, and he probably won't get out of the group with how he's playing. And
I have to agree with you there.
It's just
I don't see him getting out.
It's funny to say this, but like Choya is kind of like this goofy, almost like clown-like player that we have in there, because he's like always talking so much trash on Twitter. He's always complaining about balance, and he only did all-ins for a long period of time in his career, and he just is this guy who like is back, and now he's serious. Well, that in itself is like the biggest joke of all, is that he's taking this so seriously that he can't stop shaking.
Well, I think he was probably always taking it seriously, but I don't know how he, handled himself.
He handled himself better before, it seems like.
Well, I remember seeing Choya in the very early seasons, and, I mean, the guy looked very stressed. Even, like, for parts that you don't even see, on TV.
Right, because back then I was actually just watching
and
from the States. Like, I wasn't actually in Korea at the time.
Yeah, I mean, I would see him in the makeup room, and, I mean, he looked visually much more nervous than any other player that I can think of.
Well,
even some of the foreign players they have that we've had out here for the GSL, who usually, I mean, for them, there's so much riding on the success here.
Yeah.
Can a non-Korean beat a Korean.
Exactly.
All that stuff. But, yeah, Choya always, to me, just came off as the most anxious set of players I've seen. And he hasn't shaken it yet. He's still here now.
Yeah, so I think like that's the big factor in this, because he can play long macro games. He can beat top players. I've seen it before, on his stream. I've heard good things from people he's practicing with. So,
but, it all comes down to, can you pull it off when the world is watching?